and images must be adhered to. We demand dignity even in death. For victims of femicide, we encourage media houses to engage feminist experts to help them improve reporting practices. Women are more than half of their viewership. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And with that, I would like now to call the Honorable South MP, Carole Omondi, to second the motion. Thank you.
I thought members are simply debating on the points, but you may proceed, Carole Omondi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think I stand to contribute to this motion for the simple fact that men should also be counted at this particular time. If we leave it purely to our sister colleagues, it would look like this nation, the males don't care. Honorable Speaker, the distinction between femicide and the other typical acts of violence against women is the gender content, where a crime is committed against a particular woman or women because of gender considerations by the perpetrator of those violent acts. And it is important that we understand where this comes from so that probably we address it in a very detailed manner. I think it is more a factor of patriarchy. If you study the gender that constitutes femicide, the violence that constitutes femicide, it is, as my sister Esther said, mainly by those closest and dearest to the victims, the in-laws, the husbands, their boyfriends, sometimes their brothers, when there are disputes within the family. And this is a function of patriarchy. And we live in societies that, though our constitution recognizes our culture and Article 11 as the cumulative civilization that we have built over the years, we still have cultural norms and practices that are the same constitution recognizes as repugnant to justice and morality. We have concentrated power in the hands of men. We have built cultural institutions that exclude women in decision making. We have promoted cultural practices and norms that give dominance of men the standing that we have. And we've excluded our women from means of economic empowerment, tools that they can use to give themselves freedom, land, education, and the rest of them. I think this is the genesis of some of these very grotesque acts we see against our women. And I think it is important that we come together as a nation, be it in families, in churches, in schools, and preach against cultural norms that are used to downgrade, to depress, to oppress, to suppress our women. And I think we should not be shy about it, whether we are uncomfortable with those truths, but it is patriarchy that is promoting some of these grotesque acts that we have. I would also like to urge this House that we come together and find a way of working on a bipartisan manner so as to put certain mechanisms. We should have a national register of all persons who have been convicted of gender-based violence crimes. And that should be the first point of call. It should give us a warning, as a signal, as to who is likely to commit a femicide. We should also go and strengthen international cooperation. The case of this gentleman who has recently been rearrested and is awaiting deportation to America clearly demonstrates. And those of you who are old enough, you will remember in the old days how a lot of our women were killed by soldiers, foreign soldiers who used to come and take holiday in Mombasa. They used to just murder them and get away with it. And I think we need to strengthen international cooperation mechanisms to deal with this. At this particular time, we need to call upon the DCI, the National Police Service, to refocus their gender-based violence desks, also to strengthen their capacity to investigate cases of femicide. And also the office of the DPP to prosecute these cases without delay. Yeah, I think many of them take too long, many of them go unpunished, and people are beginning to develop a sense of impunity. And the judiciary also to come out very, very strongly and support all efforts in this particular direction. With those few remarks, I support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Leah Sankaire.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Pasaris, for bringing that motion into the floor of the House. And Madam Speaker, I think it's about time we started talking about femicide, not as a women issue, but an issue of national importance. Madam Speaker, it is sad when you hear of the statistics of the girls that have so far lost their lives in the triangle of love. And Madam Speaker, it will be wrong for us to be quiet in the National Assembly. It is good for us to raise our voices and ask very critical questions surrounding the mysterious deaths of our girls. Madam Speaker, I am also requesting that the issues of femicide and this issue stops being an issue of women. Let us make it an issue of the whole society. These girls are being killed, and you know the people that are killing them are also our children. And so it's about time that we started addressing this issue holistically. And the first and foremost thing that I would like to speak about is on the issue of reporting. Madam Speaker, it is sad that we've heard of the statistics today. We have seen the number of children that has lost their lives, but unfortunately, none of the perpetrators has been brought to books. Every single day and every day, we just hear of us being told that we are looking for the perpetrators, we will bring them into books, and Madam Speaker, justice delayed is justice denied. It is sad that we're burying our children and burying these beautiful girls whose their future was actually bright, and you're burying them, and the saddest thing, Madam Speaker, is that we are burying them and there is no perpetrator that is brought into books. It is heartening to the families, it is heartening to the society to see your child going down, but the person that committed that crime is still out there. Madam Speaker, with the trend that is, with the current trend that is going on, we may be having serial killers going around the country and around the villages. Because if you kill someone today, they are buried and no action is taken. You kill another one tomorrow, you will have the power to do so because nobody follows you up. And so we want to call upon the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government, Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, the Inspector General, IG, the Director of Public Prosecution, to issue a statement on these pertinent issues that we are raising today. Madam Speaker, I was hoping that in the last 1 week or last 2 weeks, we will have had people arraigned in court. But unfortunately, there is no one that has been arraigned in court. They keep telling us that they are carrying out investigations. Some of these cases, Madam Speaker, does not require rocket science to determine who actually committed them. And so we call upon them to issue statements. We call upon them to join hands with the female members of the National Assembly and the men here today supporting us in this issue of femicide. Madam Speaker, the issue of security is a fundamental right to every Kenyan. And it is wrong for us women to walk around feeling insecure. As much as we have responsibility of taking care of security within ourselves, but it's a right to every Kenyan to enjoy security. When it comes to reporting, Madam Speaker, it is so sad that every time these people go and report the cases, they are asked several questions and you are left wondering, is there really a right to security in this country? Madam Speaker, when you walk into a hospital today and you're sick, you go and seek medical attention. I don't think the doctor would ask you why you're sick of malaria. I don't think the doctor would ask you why you contracted this disease. But it's unfortunate that some of these perpetrators has been reported once, not twice, not thrice, but nothing has happened. We want to ask that from today, let reporting be taken as important as any other issue in this country. When you go to report, you have the right to report. You are not asked what hour of the night you are out, what kind of dressing you are dressed on, because men should also be cultured enough to know that even when women dress, they do not dress for them. It is their dress, their choice.
Let her complete her sentence. She's the chairperson of KEWOP.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And so I'm concluding by saying, let us have security reporting desks be also friendly to women, because some women are raped, and every time they go to report, they're asked what kind of dress they're wearing, they're asked what hour of the night they were raped. Those are irrelevant questions, Madam Speaker. I think it's about time that we allow the women to report on these cases, because that is what is making the perpetrators take advantage of them. We also want to ask the Cabinet Secretary to make sure that in these reporting desks, they have educated officers who knows how to handle the issues of women. Some of these issues are so delicate. Some of these issues are heartbreaking. And so when you go and report, and the first question you're asked is how you were dressed, Madam Speaker, it is like denying the person the justice that they are seeking in that quarter. And with that, Madam Speaker, I fully support this debate, and I asked our fellow colleagues and everyone in this House to rise up and let us stand against femicide. It may be happening to women, but remember you're a parent, remember you're a father, remember that these children belong to us, and so we need to make sure that our children in this country are secure. And not only children, even women, because gender-based violence is on the rise. We are also saying that gender-based violence, we are not just talking about femicide. We have so many other forms of gender violence to women. Even cyberbullying is a form of gender violence to women. And we must stand up and talk about them. We must give women secure platforms to operate from. We must make sure that the women of this country feel secure. We must make sure that our children feel secure. And we must also make sure that there is freedom in loving, and there is freedom in exercising your right to love. And so, Madam Speaker, thank you very much. And I hope that everybody in this House will stand with us today. We are all dressed up in black because we are celebrating a dark Valentine where love is no longer love, it has become a deathbed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. If I just seek your indulgence to allow the chairperson of the Finance Committee, we interrupt the session, allow him to lay some urgent papers, and then we shall continue back on this particular motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, the 14th of February, 2024. The report on the Joint Committee on the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, and that of Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Lomboko Milema, member for Emuhaya. And if you can make your statements brief so that more members, as many members as possible, can be able to speak
Honorable Speaker,
on this
I'll be
matter
very
of
brief.
national importance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll be very brief on behalf of myself and the people of Emuhaya. Let me stand with the leadership and also with all the women and girls who lost their life. It has been very sad, and especially January, Honorable Speaker, where we lost more than 10 cases were reported of women and girls who were killed. Let me thank Honorable Pasaris for bringing this matter to the House so that we may pronounce ourselves on the issues concerning femicide and disabuse of our women. This matter, Honorable Speaker, does not only concern the women of this country, but concerns the family, the men, and every member of the society in Kenya. That we are doing very badly according to statistics as we were given. The number of femicide cases are rising, and in the world they have gone to 48,000. In Kenya it's more than 500. The figures are doing very badly insofar as Kenya is concerned. I would want to ask all those who are institutions, not only political parties as we have been told, but those who are in government offices, those who are in organizations, including Parliament itself, to pronounce itself on a statement of discrediting and condemning femicide in this country. sad case which I watched during the holidays when we were under recess was the girl who was beheaded. And when we did our own walk around, we realized that that was a girl from a very poor family, a family of teachers in somewhere around Makueni and Kambani land. And she was simply deceived because she thought she was dealing with a love, somebody who loved her. Unfortunately, the person was not a good person. Honorable Speaker, I say that we need to demystify sexuality and sex so that issues of love, dating, and everything that concerns that is demystified so that it's not secretive, because most of the people who are doing this are hiding in the secrecy of these issues. In Europe and other countries, all those online datings are actually accessed to, and it's really reachable to know who is doing what every time. So without going to any much ado, Honorable Speaker, I stand with the women of this country, the girls of this country, the society that is determined to have good morals and respect the girl child and the women. Thank you.
The Honorable Lillian Gogo, member for Ruangwe.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and I salute you. I've not seen you in the new year. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I rise to give my voice to this matter that is of serious concern to this country. It is a global matter. Femicide is not a new term. It has been there for as long as mankind has existed. And Honorable Speaker, it saddens my heart. It saddens my heart that what is intended by the natural law to benefit human beings is used to the contrary, to the extent that it causes death. The relationship, Honorable Speaker, between a man and a woman is noble. And it is from this that we have the bearing, we bear children. God has made it that it is from the relationship between a man and a woman, other than the innovation of science, that we can have children. And a man would entice a woman to come to them, and a woman would agree and they meet. It is sad that it's from this that we have had the death of very many women and girls come up, Honorable Speaker. And as a house this afternoon, I want to thank my sister, the Honorable Pasaris, for bringing up this particular motion of adjournment in the House so that we can talk about it as people's representatives. It bewilders me, Honorable Speaker. I honestly don't understand how somebody would strangle a woman who has gone to just give themselves up to them to enjoy themselves. And to make it sad, Honorable Speaker, they do this after sleeping with them. You sleep with them, and once you have had your fun, you kill them. I don't understand. Earlier it was being debated that they were being killed probably after they had been given some money or whatever is of some sort. But their eyes are gouged out, Honorable Speaker. Their breasts are extracted, Honorable Speaker. Their private parts are removed, Honorable Speaker. What would make a man, a normal person, behave like that if they are not criminals? What would make a normal human being want to do anything of that kind to a fellow human being if they are not criminals, Honorable Speaker? And it is not only for purposes of deriving their own negative pleasure. These are beasts who exist in clothes of human beings, and they must be hunted for who they are. But we also have to come up, Honorable Speaker, with very stringent measures to curtail feminism, especially in our circles. Honorable Speaker, as I speak, I have a specific widow in Gangere village, in Gemso Rikachioma in Rango constituency. She She has not even been buried. This lady was gang raped, murdered, dragged into her own house to give an imprint that she died in her own house. And as if that is not enough, there was an attempted cover-up. A question that I'm going to ask the concerned CS later on, seeking an answer to it by the area chief. I would want, as a people's representative, to know this, Honorable Speaker. Who killed Mama in Gangare? And as I mourn with other women who have gone through femicide in this country, femicide must come to an end in Kenya in totality. I stand with women of this country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Very well. Let me give this first chance as I come into to the Deputy Speaker to speak on this matter, because she also has another business to undertake.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to lend my voice to this very important subject. I wish to thank the chairperson of Kewopa, the Honorable Member for Kajiado, Honorable Lea Sankaire, and the Honorable Member for Nairobi County, Esther Passaris, for ensuring that this matter comes to the House. This challenge has been with us. It's only that recently it has only received much more attention than it has done before. Many women have been killed in our faces. And if you look back, we have been very slow in speaking out. And this time we must not relent, and we must continue to speak about it. And I commend the members of the National Assembly for making this commitment. If you recall, there was the lady called Chelelek, who was a musician from Kericho County, who was killed by her husband, who later confessed, who was a police officer. If you remember back, we had Agnes Tirop, a world champion, who was killed by her spouse or boyfriend in return, and who also, a person has been arraigned, but not much was said about it. Thereafter, in the same year that Agnes Tirop was killed, 2 other women athletes were also killed. More recently, we have had Edith Muthoni, who was also killed in the athletics camps, again by a boyfriend. We also had Damaris Mutua, also a world champion, who was also killed. So these killings have been with us, and we have just not spoken. So Honorable Esther Passaris, you have named the list of recent ones, but this goes back as far back as 7 years ago. And we are not talking about people who are unknown. These are world champions. Agnes Tirop represented us in the World Championships in Tokyo, and a few weeks later she was killed. But today, it has not received the attention it does. We don't see the media houses writing the story and putting it on the headlines, because part of the failings is also with the media. If the media put this on the headlines every single day, it would get the attention it deserves. If the television stations put it on the headline news, it would get the attention it deserves. There has been no real consequences for killing women. There are no consequences for killing women. If we make the consequences sufficient and high enough, and bring it to a much higher attention, to the extent that when someone knows that will not only affect them, but also affect their families, then maybe they will think twice about it. It has been normalized that people can speak negatively about women and get away with it. We saw that in the statements that were made against Honorable Kawira. That was rape and sexual assault, only that it was verbal. And we actually thought it was funny. We must begin to interrogate our conscience as a country. And with those few remarks, I support this particular motion with all my soul and all my spirit. Thank you, Honorable Pesaris.
Very well. The leader of minority, the whip of minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this motion. And if I may continue with where the Deputy Speaker stopped at. First, I want to thank Honorable Esther Passaris for bringing this motion, Mr. Speaker. It's very important because this is the place that we need to decide and come up with proposals on how to govern ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we cannot make killing of women a normal issue. It's unacceptable, Madam Speaker. And I want to tell you that any man who kills a woman is a weak man. He's a useless man. He's not worth being called a man, Mr. Speaker. That is the truth of the matter. Because, Mr. Speaker, and even to make it worse, you are killing a woman who has trusted you, who has loved you, loves you, a woman who has shown faith in you. Then you dupe her, you take her to an Airbnb, then you kill her there, Mr. Speaker. That is an animal, that's not a man. We must describe those ones as animals, not men, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked that in 2024 we are speaking about this matter, because I have not yet recovered from what happened in my county one time, Mr. Speaker, where a lady called Sharon, who was expectant, who was almost at the delivery point, Mr. Speaker, was killed by people in a forest. Instead of allowing her to deliver the baby in a matter of weeks, I think, or days, and she was killed. The child inside her was killed. I have never recovered from that shock. And Mr. Speaker, now it is becoming a norm. Mr. Speaker, if this matter is not arrested, and the people who do that kind of heinous act don't face serious consequences, Mr. Speaker, it will be taken as business as usual. Mr. Speaker, there is no life without women in this world. There is no human being who is walking in this world who has not come through a woman, Madam Speaker. We are all here courtesy of women. We are in this world courtesy of women. If there are no women, there is no world, there is no life, Mr. Speaker. And you have the audacity to kill those people, maim them, rape them. Mr. Speaker, unless we come together as leaders and as people and eradicate that matter, Mr. Speaker, I don't think we are going to reach far as a country. So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I am fully behind the people who want to bring serious consequences to be faced by those people who are killing women. Why should you kill a woman? Why? What makes you kill a woman? Unless you have lost your head, unless you're a mad person. And you know, it's not even nowadays, it's not even about guys. I have seen old women being killed. I have seen middle-aged women being killed for reasons that we are unable to understand up to today. Mr. Speaker, it cannot be a sport. Killing a woman can never become a sport. It must have consequences because those are human souls that we are losing every day. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say that I remember there was legislation that was made in this House relating with gender violence. I don't know why they are not being more harsher than this, Mr. Speaker. We need to come up with a legislation that says if you kill a woman, you should be killed. If you kill a man, you should pay just 100 camels. Yeah, that's all. That's enough for a man. But if you kill a woman, because a woman is a factory, a woman is the one who produces men. Now you are killing the people who are supposed to bring life to us. If you kill a woman, Mr. Speaker, you must be killed also. Or you must face the death penalty. That should be the minimum that you should face. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I again thank Madam Honorable Passaris. She has brought she could not bring this motion a better day than today when we are celebrating Valentine.
Sure.
It's the best day to discuss this matter, Mr. Speaker, because many women have lost their lives through love. People they have trusted, people they have, developed relationship with. So, Mr. Speaker, the House must rise to the occasion, and the institutions that are mandated to take action, like the police, the DCI, must do everything possible to make sure that any man who hurts a woman, not only killing, who hurts a woman, must face the full force of the law, Mr. Speaker. Killing now. Any man who hurts a woman, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to support that legislation, that it should be. Some of us, let me not say mine, because I know how I treat women. I treat them very well. So they should follow my example.
Hey, you guys. Thank you. As I give Honorable Lachi, let me indicate that the screen is full of people who are not in the House. And please, our clerks, clear the lists. And also, I'm not seeing on the screen the honorable women on the screen. So please key in if you want to speak on this. Meanwhile, let me give Honorable Lachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank you so much because you have been one of those male champions that we have seen for many years on issues of women. As I stand to support this motion and to really appreciate my leader, Honorable Esther Passaris, for bringing in this motion at a time when we talk of love that has become a dark love that has brought more darkness than the love we thought about, love that has removed the book of Timothy, chapter 13, from our faces and given us something else. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya today, we have robust laws. The framework is there on issues of gender. But on the 27th of January, Mr. Speaker, when women and men were coming out to just call upon the government to come in and see what is this that has just hit Kenya, that we can lose 10 women in January and more because we have more who we have not, we don't know whether they have also found themselves or their families have been able to go and report. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, the worrying trend is that we have normalized gender-based violence in Kenya. We have made it a very normal issue now. There is nothing as brutal, Mr. Speaker, as femicide. It's extreme. It is the worst violence any person can go through. And even when I look at the stories we are getting, it's not just in Kenya. You find a Kenyan who was in the US, you decide to brutal, kill your wife, kill your girlfriend, throw the girlfriend's body at the airport, and you just take a plane and come back to Kenya. And when you're in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, Kangetha walks into the cells and comes out and says, I just walked out. Then now you wonder, what just happened to Kenya? What happened to our security forces? Yes, I know people will start saying the women, but honestly, this is love. Nobody is pushing the other. Why would you do that? So for me, Mr. Speaker, the most worrying thing is that we must go back to the judiciary and request the judiciary, Mr. Speaker, that if we have a case of someone who has raped, someone who has murdered, honestly, you don't need to give a bail to this person, because the moment you go back, and when I was listening to Lilian Mheshimiwa, she's crying that we have someone who has just walked out of the cells, is now back in the village, and even the body is not yet buried of this woman. So you can imagine, Mr. Speaker, what this guy is saying, that he is okay, he is in control. There is nothing you can do. After all, he has gone to the cells of Homa Bay, and now he's back in the streets of Homa Bay, walking so gently without disregarding completely the fear he has just put to many of the members of that family that is mourning, but more importantly, just to imagine that we can be here listening. I want to request the CS internal security that in Homa Bay, since we have this case now, and they know the people, they know the chief, can first the chief be suspended, put aside for them to understand that case. Mr. Speaker, I would humbly also request that it is time the leadership to talk about it. Keeping quiet sends a very chilling fear in the country. It is important for them to raise a voice. And that voice will help for people to realize there are things that are happening that is wrong. We have given people, I want to finalize by just saying, as much as we have agreed people to walk into our airport, we have not told them to come and mayhem our girls because of what they want to achieve in their witchcrafts or any other things they are thinking. They want bodies, because you cannot just mayhem and cut somebody's head if you are not a witchcraft or a witch going to use it for your witchcraft, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support, and I really cry for the women of this country, and more importantly, please.
The Honorable Kimani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to add my voice to this discussion. And from the onset, I'd like to congratulate the County Member of Parliament for Nairobi, the Honorable Esther Pacharis, for bringing this particular motion today. Honorable Speaker, it is disheartening, it is very painful that we have the men who should be the protectors of the society are the ones who are killing women. Even in war, Honorable Speaker, women were never killed. If you study the wars in even in the stories in the Bible, there is no time that people killed women and children. So the fact that in 2024 we have men who, if you look at them on the road, you'll think they have sane mind, or you might respect them on the road, taking this heinous action of this injustice on women is truly, truly, truly sad. And Honorable Speaker, if you listen to some of the arguments made, including on social media, saying, oh, the lady, for example, ate your money, they ate your transport money, you send money for transport, they did not come. You are a fool to have sent money to someone for them to come. Because even this thinking, Honorable Speaker, that sex is only enjoyed by men is so false.